just before the new year, or just after the new year actually, we released something called the first annual New York Shakespeare Awards. And what was that? That was my compendium, my analysis, my review of all of the Shakespeare that I saw in 2020 from the onset of the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, until New Year's. And within that list, I gave my analysis of who I thought were the ones that stood out the most from amongst those offerings in a variety of categories. And if you'll indulge me for a few minutes before we bring on our fantastic guests, I want to review, for those who haven't had a chance to check that out, the nominees and the recipients of those New York Shakespeare Awards. You can catch that in full. You can read the full document at New York Shakespeare, that's all spelled out, .wordpress.com. And you can read the full article. You can see all the winners, but I'm going to give you a preview of that now. The categories included the people who were offering classes, workshops, and acting lessons, and we had such wonderful nominees as the Soho Shakespeare, run by Alex Pepperman. We had the Shakespeare Forum, that's uptown with Tyler Moss and Sybil Brune. We had the Red Bull Theater with their day-long Shakespeare intensives, and we had William Downs, verse and text coach, a past guest of ours here. All of them are past guests of ours, with the exception of Red Bull Theater. And in that case, I will see if I can pull up that image. We gave that award. Let's see if that's available here. I'll throw up that image, and this was for the classes and workshops, and that went to the recipient of that was the, oh goodness gracious, Instagram Live is not being my friend tonight. I apologize, folks. That went to the Shakespeare Forum. Unfortunately, that that image isn't showing up the way I planned it to, so I apologize for that technical error. The next category of the New York Shakespeare Awards was audio performances and podcasts. We saw a migration of many companies, including probably the most famous Shakespeare group in New York, the Public Theater and the Shakespeare in the Park, which is usually performed at the Delcourt Theater in Central Park. That moved into a radio play format. Many other companies presented their plays in radio play formats. There were also a variety of informative and other kind of podcasts. And the people who were nominated in that category include Shakespeare who also did a radio play, two radio play versions of Shakespeare, the aforementioned Public Theater with their Richard II, the Classic Stage Company, and they had their CSC podcast and their Classic Conversations with some of the finest classical artists in New York. The Red Bull Theater, once again, with their remarkable podversations, and they also interviewed a lot of fine classical actors. Hamlet to Hamilton with our friend Emily C.A. Snyder, all about verse drama. Botanical Shakespeare from our friend Garrett Quealy, and that focused on Shakespeare vis-a-vis trees and flowers and the flora of Shakespeare. And there were others that we mentioned in that article. You can read the full list there, and the award in that case did go to, let's see if the image works this time, I think it should, to the Public Theater and their presentation, their radio play version of Richard II. It's still available online. You can go to their website, you can do a Google search for the Public Theater and Richard II, and all four parts of that are still available. I think actually maybe it's in three parts, it's either 3 or 4, but it's all still available and it's all free. Moving on to the next category, our next area was in Shakespeare sonnets, and there were a variety of companies presenting Shakespeare sonnets. One of them is actually, I think, still with us here tonight, and that is Melinda Hall of the Shakespeare Sonnet Slam, and that's an institution that's been around New York for over a decade now. In addition to that, there's the Manhattan Shakespeare Project, and that is an Instagram Live-led effort as well, and there were several others, but our award for that category went to, let's see if I can pull up that image, let's see if it works, let's see, sonnets, and our sonnet award went to our friend Melinda Hall of the Shakespeare Birthday Sonnet Slam. So Melinda, congratulations. You put forth a fantastic effort despite the limitations of the coronavirus. It was still amazing, and we thank you. She's actually part of our one of our interactions tonight, so we'll be speaking to her colleague, Akko Dox, shortly. The next category was Shakespeare performances that were audience interactive primarily. And in that category, we had Paul Sugarman and the Instant Shakespeare Company. They've been doing readings around New York for years. We had the Staten Island Shakespeare Company, and they were one of the ones that actually did a live performance, socially distanced. We had the Rogue Ensemble Theater Company with Julie Spina. They got out there and they did Titus Andronicus, of all things, in the park. We had the Night Shift Theater Company, who actually had a performance today, and they did their Drunken Shakespeare in the parks. We had the Drunk Texts and or Drunk Restoration Comedy, and they also are in the Drunk Shakespeare category. The Siren and Sailor Theater Company with our friend Kristen Petty. Once again, the Drunken Shakespeare or the Bard and Booze category. Shakespeare Happy Hours, and that's a couple of fine gentlemen, Montgomery Sutton and Daniel Kemper. And Shakespeare Approves and Shakespeare's Coffee Break, and that was our friend Dan Kostelik. And the last entrant in that category was Food of Love Productions, and their interactive segment was that as part of their version of Twelfth Night, they sent home a food kit for people to interact with and eat while they were watching the performance. So let's see if we find that. Oh goodness, it's so small. Audience interactive, and the winner in that category for us was Shakespeare Approves. That's Dan Kostelik, and he does nearly a daily a happy hour or a coffee break or something. Very interactive, very audience friendly. So you can check that out, shakespeareapproves.com. The next category was, let's see if we can go down here. Updates and adaptations of Shakespeare. And I'll see if I can pull up that image while I'm talking. Modern adaptations, and we had several entrants in that category. We had one of the entrants is being featured here tonight, and that is Lady Capulet, written by playwright Melissa Bell and performed by the Barefoot Shakespeare Company. They're actually doing it again in about in 10 days. So we'll be talking to Emily Gallagher a little bit later. She's the director and the head of Barefoot Shakespeare Company. Becoming Othello, A Black Girl's Journey by our friend Deborah Ann Bird. American Moor by Keith Hamilton Cobb, both of those being riffs on Othello. David Serrero and his multitudinous Shakespeare adaptations. Hamlet Isn't Dead and their take on Timon of Athens. And the winner in that category was, for us, oh goodness, that image is not showing either, and that was Keith Hamilton Cobb and American Moor. So you can check that out. Lady Capulet is fantastic. We're talking to them tonight. They were a very close second. And then we have, let's see, Shakespeare's Comedies and Romances. This is full-on performances of plays. We had Food of Love Productions with Twelfth Night. Let me see if I can pull up the image of that category. As we're speaking comedies and romances, we had Titan Theater Company with their version of A Midsummer Night's Dream. We had Soho Shakespeare Company, whom we mentioned before, with The Tempest. And we had Shakespeare Sports Theater with our friend Carrie Edel Isaacman with their production of Pericles. Classics on the Rocks, they did a great version of As You Like It. Shakespeare they did a radio play version of The Tempest. And we had a lot of great entrants in that category. And the winner for us there was Twelfth Night from our friends at Food of Love Productions. That was, again, a really fun interactive production. You can still, I think you might be able to check that out. You can go into foodofloveproductions.com to find out more. Again, this is all available on our blog at newyorkshakespeare.wordpress.com. The last two categories are dramas, tragedies, and histories. Oh, no, that's it. Dramas, tragedies, and histories. And the entrants were Titan Theater Company and their production of Henry V, Guerrilla Rep and their feature film version of Macbeth, Theater of the Living Word and their version of Macbeth, which was also surprisingly some hybrid between theater and film, and Gallery Players and their take on Hamlet. In addition to that, we have New York Classical Theater and their version of King Lear, and the Public Theater and their Richard II, Shakespeare and their Richard II, and there were so many to choose from. In that category, we went with Titan Shakespeare and their Henry V, which was part of their Titan Shakespeare Festival, which was really a superior effort. So congratulations to Lenny Banavez and the Titans. They did a great job there. And the last category was, and let's see if I pull up that image now, last category was male or female performers. We didn't differentiate between genders because for the most part all of our nominees were females playing male roles. So how do you divide that? So we had Michael Paget from Twelfth Night as Malvolio with Food of Love Productions. We had Laura Fry Banavez, again from the Titan Theater Company and their Henry V. We had Keith Hamilton Cobb from American Moor, Leah Hatto Robinson from the Guerrilla Rep Macbeth, and Deborah Ann Bird from both Othello with National Art Club and with her own Becoming Othello. Two different takes on Othello. She was Othello in both. And Eliana Rowe of the Gallery Players Hamlet. And our winner there in this final category was, if I could pull up her image, Eliana Rowe. She's just out of college and she totally nailed it with Hamlet. So you might be able to still check that out. I don't know, but you can check out the Gallery Players and you can check out Eliana Rowe on Instagram. And all that information again is available on our blog at newyorkshakespeare.wordpress.com. So we'll close that out and we will go into our program for tonight.